They're lunatic fringe. There's like 10% of every fan base that's so radical that they'll eat their own. You know, you name any fan base, they have them. And the other 90% are the greatest fans, going.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Big guest, brother. This is the most I've seen you talk.
I had to. Well,
Alex is not here, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
Here, so.
Oh yeah, Alex is on vacation. We got Easton. Would you get the promo? Did you come in for the bullpen?
Yep.
They said we need the left-hander.
Yep.
Easton in the driver's seat, ladies and gentlemen. Kirk Herbstreit is in the house. Yeah, and you're an Alabama football fan.
I am.
Yeah, this is the most. Hey, if you, a lot of people in the comments, Easton this, Easton that. We love Easton. Well, you're gonna hear from him today.
Not much jokes, just
all
serious
business.
questions.
Yeah,
strictly business.
All. It was great. Did you like that episode?
Yeah, I thought this was one of my favorite ones.
It was unbelievable. That was unbelievable. Kurt Herbstreit, 4 or 5-time Emmy Award.
Yeah.
Winning broadcaster. Obviously, he said he's been on College Game Day your whole life.
He said this is his 30th year of doing it. I'm only 23.
Yeah. As long as you've been alive, Kirk Herbstreit
and longer
has been.
I think he's been on TV before my parents were married.
That's unbelievable. This is one of the guys probably that needs no intro.
Yeah, even if you don't know the name, he starts talking and you'll
be like, oh, and he's doing Game Day, and then he's doing this the Thursday night.
He does Thursday night football on Prime
NFL game.
He does Game Day in the morning on Saturday, and then he flies wherever the night game is for ESPN.
Go. Then he does Game Day and then flies
if he has to. Sometimes it's the same place. Sometimes he's flying. Yeah.
Now we're talking, bro. That was unbelievable. I enjoyed that conversation a lot. We talked a lot about sport. Childhood, the meaning of sport, where it's going. It was awesome. Yeah, everybody listening to this podcast is a diehard fan of someone.
Gotta be.
Summer break, baby. We're taking a couple of weeks off. Listen. Me and Kirk Herbstreit are going back to work at the same time. Fall.
It's not good.
We got another couple. We have another maybe 2 months here, and then we're all. Dialed in, baby. In September, we're going to Grand Rapids, Fort Wayne, Paducah, North Charleston, Macon, Georgia, Hiawassee, Georgia. October, Evansville, Dayton, Peoria, Knoxville, Greenville, York, Pennsylvania, Detroit, Cleveland, Birmingham, Chattanooga. November in Boise, Spokane, Tacoma, Abilene, San Antonio, Tyler, Texas, Austin, Phoenix. And Phoenix, Santa Rosa, Redding, California, South Bend, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo. A lot of those, should they send me the ticket counts once a week or something like that, a lot of those shows are nearing a sellout.
Better get them quick.
So get on board, baby. And I'm going to say I was nervous for this episode. This is probably the most, it's not the most famous person we ever had, but the person of the most probably significance to me in my life. But, I was not sweating. You know why? Mando, baby. Look at that intro. Unbelievable. Mando, I got all the products. They're good about sending me a box of can you zoom in on that a little bit? I can't see it.
Yep.
What's they got? They got unbelievable what's it called? Personal hygiene products.
I got some too.
Yeah, you got them too. Wait, you got them?
Yeah.
Dang, I thought it was only me and Alex.
I think Alex gave
They get you in on the boxes now?
I think so.
Dang, dude, step up. They got the whole body deodorant, safe to use anywhere on your body, created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was misdiagnosed and mistreated. Interesting. Clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. Kirk Herbstreit probably needs this when he's on the road.
Probably has it.
Especially sweating out those games. Mando deodorant product options, the solid stick deodorant. Also, they have the spray deodorant. Interesting. I got the stick deodorant. All Mando products, by the way, baking soda free, and paraben free. Interesting. Mando clinically proven to control body odor better than a shower with soap alone. Wait, hold on. Mando is clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. Oh, okay, got it. Want to try America's #1 body deodorant formula right now? You can find them at Walmart, Interesting, Target, and other retailers across the country. For best deals, go to shopmando.com. The starter pack is the one I got. You probably got the same one. It's perfect for new customers. Comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off. Starter pack with our exclusive code that equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code NETPOSITIVE at shop Mando.com, SHOPMANDO.com, or hit the link in the episode description. Support the show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Dude, you know what I wanted to ask Kurt about, but I didn't?
What?
Gambling. Did you want to?
No, the only thing I wanted to ask him, but I knew he wasn't going to answer because I don't know if he's allowed to, is if he has a say in where they go for game day. But I don't. That's like a very secret thing. I think he would have been like, yeah.
I was interesting to say. Well, you listened to the episode, but a lot of stuff he talked about how announcing a game and the behind the scenes, I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, he can't talk about, but I wanted to ask him how. If you like, I don't like the Bengals versus the Texans. I don't care about it. But if I got money on it, it's almost like a fake. I've loved the Braves since I was zero. I can kind of create that with gambling.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask him about that, but he would probably not answer that.
I know the rules for like guys like that are so strict, especially because he's in college and NFL. So I don't think he can.
He goes. He just sits there. You don't have anything to say.
Turned off.
That was great though. But he was very. I think it was very. It was like having one of our buddies in here.
Yep.
It was like having Alex in here, except it was Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big fan. Been
older.
a big fan of Kurt's for a long time. I knew he was a believer and a man of faith, and obviously big. I did tell him I hated Georgia, and he respected it.
Kind of seemed like he did too.
He what?
He kind of seemed like he did too a little bit.
Ooh, let's get that.
He didn't agree with you.
Listen to the episode and tell us.
And watch his facial expression. I
yeah,
think he might have some disdain as well. I don't know.
Gas just as soon as he left, we go, man, I can't wait for football season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Enjoy the episode, ladies and gentlemen. Kirk Herbstreit. Kirk Herbstreit is here, everybody. Round of applause. We did it. Back in the game. You've been here for a while.
I have.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be back in the mix here.
Well, Nashville's not a big. We're not a big sports. We're country music, so that it's odd. You're
an outlier, a little bit of an outlier
for Nashville. Yeah,
you know when I moved
you're not a
here,
country music or nothing.
No, and I moved here in 2011. This is crazy. I decided we were going to move out of Columbus. I had 4 sons.
Yeah,
my wife and I thought Columbus, Ohio, doing the job that I do as a former Buckeye.
Yeah,
it's probably best to just maybe get out of the beaten path a little bit, and so we decided, as much as we loved Ohio, it's all we knew. We were going to move to either Austin, Texas, or Fort Worth, because on my travels, I'd really loved those places. The other one was Boise, Idaho, but it's just too far.
Yeah.
So
you ain't driving anywhere from Boise.
No.
Yeah.
No. So we ended up flying down there. We looked around at some places, flew back to Ohio, and stopped in Nashville because we knew a couple.
Yeah.
Never really. This was before Nashville became
what it is now.
City. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about it. Drove around. I was like blown away by the beauty, the rolling hills, and if you're raising a family at that time, man, it's almost hard to handpick a better place.
Yeah.
Great schools.
Yeah.
And ended up coming
public
down
schools
here.
too. All the schools are good.
If you're in Williamson County, you got great,
you're
outstanding
less
public
taxes
schools.
than downtown.
Yeah.
Right across. Everybody says that right across the border. Right from Williamson County to
Yeah, that's where I went to high school in Williamson County.
Where did you go?
Ravenwood.
Oh, okay.
And by the way,
you
can be in Williamson County. People that not from Nashville won't know this. You can live in Williamson County and you'll think you're in a different world.
Oh my God!
Like it's not even. You're how am I 19 minutes from downtown?
Yeah,
but it feels like
you're way
you're in
out,
the country
for sure.
In the country,
yeah, and you're 20 minutes.
Yeah.
If you go to Troubadour, you're like, there's no way you're near Nashville.
No, that's what people know that you got money, Kirk. If you say if you drop Troubadour, dude. We talk about Troubadour. We played out golf out there a couple times. Yeah,
it's nice, right?
Yeah. And what do you got another month until you get ramped up?
Mid-August is where it kind of gets going.
Yeah,
travel. I go about mid-August to mid-January.
Straight,
like nuts.
Yeah,
What's your nutty time?
You ever get tired of like the travel? Because like people, like last year there was a lot of graphs almost of like the way you'd have to travel. Because I know your son played football in Ohio.
Yeah.
So you'd go to like the West Coast for a game and then come back to Ohio for Friday and then go back for
Sunday.
Like NFL, because you do Thursday night for NFL,
Amazon.
and just back and forth all across the country.
Yeah,
Does it ever get tiring, or do you just kind of?
It does, but I mean, this is my 30th year. You kind of get used to it. And I mean, all kidding aside, I have a dog that flies with me, and I don't know, just having my dog with me in the hotel, it's made a huge difference, you know. And I've when you're once the NFL game's done on Thursday night, as soon as the game's over, I fly to wherever game day is, and I've got a bus there. It's almost like an apartment, you know, and it's so things have really gotten a lot better from the original.
You sound like one of those NBA guys. Back in the '80s, we would have smoked cigarettes on coach airplanes. They're like, remember? They all tell the horror stories.
Right. Yeah, we've come a long way with the travel.
About travel. It's probably the same with analysts.
Oh yeah,
it's the same.
Yeah,
because I did game day with you when Tennessee was in Athens.
Yeah.
Or I was on, let's see. Well, I was on SEC Nation.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And because we came by with
same spot.
Yeah, kind of in the same spot.
Yeah.
It's much easier. Much easier to travel these days.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and a lot of times the NFL game is a challenge because it's really the tough part of my job is the prep. You know, I don't know what it's like for you.
Same.
When you're, what you're doing on stage.
Yeah.
If you've done your prep, that's fun. Right?
I just drive around the city locally, see what to make fun of, and then go on stage.
Yeah.
That's
is that what you do?
I got to get some research of what to make fun of in this town.
Oh,
Yeah.
They love that.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. You do the same thing.
How did you pick that up?
Oh, man. I mean, I think
what made you think of that?
Sometimes you just got to go, I got to get some because I just did my first appearance on The Tonight Show last week, and they were like, no intro, no, hey, what's going on? Look, we just drove in, we saw the traffic, the airport's trash. They go, none of that, you just got to start. And I'm very uncomfortable.
Oh my God.
I go in there, what's going on here? Look at this outfit. I saw a guy out front with some Spurs or something, whatever you make it, and then you start roasting them and they love it.
Dude,
but have
you ever said jokes and people didn't laugh?
Dude, all the time. Dude.
What do you do?
Who knows, dude? You just I don't know. I mean,
the next one.
Because I always laugh when you do stuff, but what you had to at the beginning.
Man, well,
you had to people probably if you say the joke and the people are just staring at you, like I would die.
Yeah, it's terrible. There's some cord that's not connected in a comedian's brain that doesn't bother you. But you learn related to sports. There are certain cities, like in St. Louis, you do not make fun of the Cardinals.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? They are.
That's a religion.
So you can make fun of the Cleveland Browns, or you can make fun of a lot of their. It's like kind of the laughing stock, the Kansas City Royals,
the Reds.
Yeah, but you cannot. There's a certain Philly.
What happens if you make fun of the Cardinals in St. Louis?
Yeah, you learn the hard way. That they go. That's not.
They
go.
Boo you?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Maybe worse.
Or they say, there's something. This is a lot of the school. At Penn
What's the
State.
toughest one you ever did where you thought, I don't know if I want to do this anymore?
Comedy?
Yeah, like when you're standing up.
Oh man!
Did you ever have a moment?
It's comedy never works good when people haven't consented to it. So like if I did people call me all the time like, hey, come do the SEC office. Mm-hmm. Come do our Christmas party. I go, oh, okay, you love me. These other people don't know who I am. So I come in and they're like, oh, you're going to love this guy. And they're like, dude, we're at lunch. We didn't sign off on.
Right.
Have you come to the theater to see my show?
Yeah, of course.
That's different. You've consented to this is what he does.
Yeah.
So it's easy there.
Yeah.
But when you go into like an away game is what I call
That's
it.
An away game.
You go on the road.
You go into the SEC's pizza party?
Yeah. That you go on the road. They're like, dude, they go, we didn't. I mean, I've done corporate Christmas parties where they go, I mean, back in 2008, 2009, like, hey, bad news. No bonuses this year. We've had a downturn in the company, but we did hire a comedian. And you go,
oh my God.
And it's just bombing, dude.
Yeah.
Bombing.
Have you ever told a joke, John, that you knew, like no one laughed at it, but you knew it was good and you're like, I'm going to keep, y'all are wrong and I'm going to keep going?
I'm positive this is funny, dude. Y'all can.
You just, let me try it.
Well, yeah. Or you got to rework it. Sometimes you come in to, I mean, you probably experience the same thing. Did I come in to critical on that? I was trying to communicate this if everyone jumped on you. I didn't mean it like I was trying to come like at the beginning of my career. This is not an interview of me, but
no, but I'm fascinated.
They go, is this guy, because I used to make a lot of jokes. My dad was a preacher. I grew up in church.
Yeah,
a lot of jokes about the
I've
faith.
heard you say that.
everybody was like, "Is this guy a Christian?" Because they didn't know who I was. So if I am a Christian, these jokes are hilarious.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking about all these things that we do in church. Now, if I'm not, these are very offensive.
Right.
Because you're now making fun of them versus making fun of us. So there's a lot of
very different approach.
Yeah.
I just think that your craft, when you go from 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021.
Oh yeah.
Because I think even in our industry, I got to think twice before I hit send, or I got to think twice. I'm talking about football.
You're the least controversial guy I know.
I don't really get into that world, but man, I really appreciate guys like you. I'm going back to 21. There are just a handful of people. I mean, Dave Chappelle talked about it. Dave Chappelle gets in trouble all the time because he goes after certain.
Sometimes he goes on purpose.
And I'm just curious in your mind, in your world, as you went through what used to be normal, and now it's like, oh my God, did you just say that?
I can't wait. Yeah, I think it's a kind of a risk. You calculate the risk every time. But
do you ever have a filter, or do you just?
Yeah, I'm a clean comic. Yeah. I mean, but I have a filter in a way.
When it comes to politics and race, do you have a filter?
I wouldn't say a filter, but I would say I don't. If that group or person was in the room. And like if I was gonna go make a joke about, who knows? I'm trying to think of if I was gonna make a joke about somebody, and then my agent said they're coming to the show, and I would remove that joke, then that's not a joke I would tell. And like if I would do a Trump joke, I would do it to him, or a Biden joke, or either one. If I got to put my name on these jokes, so if they get clipped and it's just taken out of context, I'll be like, I stand by that. That's happened 3 times last week.
I was gonna say, taken out of context is different.
Yeah.
And misrepresenting what you intended is different than you having the guts to say something and just, I said it. But if they twist it and turn it, which they do on a regular basis, that's where it becomes difficult.
Now, you just say, you're just play by play. You're not supposed to put your thoughts in, are you?
Well, I mean, think about my job. I mean, I Thursday night, I sit next to Al Michaels, and the guy throws a pass and catches it, and he runs. I mean, I'm just talking about the game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And then game day,
game day is
for 3 hours.
You're talking about what you think.
We're getting into topics. That's where people get upset with not just me, but all of us on our set, because you have to have opinions. That's 3 hours
literally
of
a different
opinion.
Job.
Totally different.
It's a totally different job. Calling a game.
Yeah, calling a game is just you're seeing a play that happens in 6 seconds.
Yeah,
you have 6 seconds to think about an analytical thought, and then you have 8 to 10 seconds to deliver that thought in a very helpful way to the viewer to let them understand what is transpiring. And you do that for 3.5 hours.
And then you got a new one.
Yeah, it's just you just go constantly, right? And you're kind of in a dance with the play-by-play partner, the producer who's in your ear, the director who's cutting shots. It's just kind of like there's a lot of moving parts that are going on. Game day is more like what you and I are doing right now. It's just Pat's there, McAfee.
Hey, I heard this guy's on the hot seat. What do you think?
Or it's hey, LSU, Florida. What do you guys think? Who's going to win the game? Why are they going to win it? Or it's a controversial topic. It's NIL. It's it's transfer portal, it's realignment. There's just so many things that are, I'm sure you follow the sport, that are people are really passionate. One thing about college football fans, and you face it when you travel into the South, man, they are passionate. They care deeply. I think college football is probably the closest thing we have to like whatever European Premier Soccer, where they just go crazy, about soccer. I don't think the NFL is quite as rabid as college football fans.
If you're talking about a couple teams, but
maybe the Bills,
a punter,
there's a couple.
A field goal kicker getting threatened, but that's going to happen in college.
A field goal kicker
football.
misses a game-winning field goal.
That's going to happen in college football.
He's going to get death threats.
Yeah. No, I shouldn't laugh about
if
that.
If a quarterback for a team like Alabama or Ohio State or Tennessee throws 4 picks and they lose the game, he needs to be benched. He needs to be removed. He needs he's the worst human that's ever lived. Like
that passion only exists in college football in America.
Yes,
that's a good way to put that.
Yeah, but you do a good job. I feel like in the game more than any play-by-play announcer that I can think of kind of like doing the.
He's the only one you ever known.
Well, there's a few, unfortunately. But there's you do a good job of laying out like what you said, the play-by-play, like telling what's going on, but then also like tying in other external factors that relate to that game, like especially the Tennessee Ohio State game,
right?
When Ohio State was just getting buried, just fire the coach, fire him, he's terrible.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ohio State ends up blowing him out, and you kind of were like, people have been calling for this guy's job.
Oh yeah, I mean, if he would have lost that game, I'm sure they would have been almost pressured to possibly remove him. Meanwhile, he's the winningest coach since he's been a head coach in college football.
History.
But it was that kind of power, and we tried to. If you're not from that region, we're trying to explain what he's facing, and then they won 4 in a row.
Right,
I mean,
and you got
win it.
You got some flack for it.
Oh yeah, because I called him the lunatic fringe. It's every fan base has a lunatic.
We've been doing
fringe.
we're the same job, really. These people are lunatics.
They're lunatic fringe. There's like 10% of every fan base that's so radical that they'll eat their own. They're crazy. And again, Tennessee, Ohio State, Alabama, you name any fan base, they have them. And the other 90% are the greatest fans, going.
And how do you like kind of balance that with, you have people who work at the same company as you who may disagree, like you might be on polar opposites of opinion on the Ohio State thing, on whatever it is.
I welcome it, really.
But you have to kind of like play both sides, and I feel like you do a good job of it.
One thing I do on my job is I don't pretend how I feel about something. So if you agree with me, then great, we're going to agree. But I've never, hey, I'll go this way, you go that way, and we'll create an argument, and it'll be good for TV. And I think there are a lot of shows like that on TV where let's just argue about something, and it's a debate.
I'll do this.
Yeah,
I'll
do that.
I'll pick
even
LeBron.
if you don't believe
I'll pick
it.
LeBron, you pick Jordan, and we'll do it.
We'll just debate that.
We'll make 30 minutes out of this.
Yeah, and the fans sitting there like, I can't believe he's saying that, and I just say, what I think. I do a ton of homework. I talk to 1 million people. I watch a ton of film, and I have opinions. And if Nick Saban agrees, great. If he doesn't, great. If Pat agrees, great. And once in a while we'll get sideways. But our show, it's more respectful. It's it's more. It's not create, like I said, arguments or manufacture anything. And we love each other. We've been working together for a long time. So there's, I think Game Day has a different vibe to it than, my opinion, a lot of the other shows.
Yeah, I was more referring to the other shows because you got a bunch of flack for that Ohio State film thing. Other shows on ESPN that were not related to college football specifically.
Yeah, I mean, what can you do, man? You just keep, like you said, you just kind of keep plugging on.
Do you ever like to look backwards and be like, I knew I was right about that one? I mean, does that give you any, when Ohio State wins it all, do you go, I stuck up for him, I'm glad I was right? Or do you
my thing was, because when people talk about the sport that I've lived for 30 years, I've been so blessed, man. These coaches, maybe because I've never burned anybody, I don't have a style to be gotcha. I'm just more of, I love to celebrate the sport. I love to celebrate the players, the coaches. I love college football. It's my passion. Yeah. And so I've been able to get, when Nick Saban was a coach in Alabama, practice is closed, I'm at practice. Like, he lets me in to go to practice.
Because he's never.
Yeah, he knows I'm not out here to like, oh, that guy's hurt.
And if he could tell you something.
Tell me, and he did all the time.
Confidence that it's not going to turn up on the show. Never would do that. But it gives me information and intel where I can talk in confidence about something because he's telling me something nobody else really knows. So you have confidence in what you're saying. But I've been behind the curtain really for almost every program. So when I hear people who don't follow the sport as closely, just kind of like throw in some stuff, you get a little bit protective, not of Ohio State, but more protective of the sport. Yeah. Because a lot more than a lot of these other people know. That's a good way to say it. Right. Yeah, that if you never done,
that makes sense.
Yeah, if you never done wrong by anybody, but then there are also some. I'm guessing you probably have to cover bad news about friends.
Yeah,
and you have to be objective about it.
But that's a great point, because going back to Game Day, you have to get into things like that. And I've always tried to think, you can't just be always positive. Yeah. So if you do have to be critical, I've always felt that, like you and I talking right now, if I do it in a way that's not condescending, disrespectful. I always think if that person I'm talking about is sitting on our desk, they might disagree with me, but they're not going to be, completely floored.
It has to go fair. That's
fair. Yeah. They might say, they might disagree, but we're going to walk off after that segment and kind of dap each other up and everything's good. Yeah. I'm not going to say something to make them be like, man, I'm never talking. We're done.
Right.
And I think you can be critical if you do it in the right tone, in the right way, in my opinion.
Like Brian Windhorst, who has followed LeBron, I think the whole time. Wherever LeBron is, he moves there. Yeah. And he's like, he's obviously in the press conferences with him. So but he's like, I want this guy to be honest with me, but also I have to report on him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's this weird, like Michael Jordan was the same, kind of like this guy, he would always let him in. He'd always give him the sound bites. But then if he, quote, did wrong by him or thought by him, he's like, then this guy's out. And I'm sure it's a tough line to walk.
Yeah, and I don't follow the NBA that closely. Windhorst, I watch Pat McAfee all the time, and LeBron was on his show, and he kind of goofed on Windhorst.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm kind of referring to.
Yeah,
he was like, well, who is this guy? Yeah.
Because all this time I thought there was a respectful relationship.
I guess it should go both ways.
Yeah.
The only sports news is Pat McAfee. He's the guy you trust for all your sports news. He's like, I don't know what's going on. I watch Pat McAfee.
Hey, Pat McAfee. Do you watch his show? Do you know him? Have you guys met him?
Yeah. I've never met him.
We don't know him, but we watch his show.
He's fantastic.
He's unbelievable.
His energy has been a game changer. When you do something, think about doing something for this is my 30th year doing College Game Day. And when I took on the NFL package, it's a lot to do Thursday, game day, and a Saturday night. So, internally I thought, do I really want to keep doing game day?
Yeah.
As much as I love it, I love game day, but it's hard to do something for 30 years. And then Pat came in and he just brings some authentic energy. I'm talking off the air, like in the meetings, during the week, on the Zoom calls.
Stoked. I don't know him, but seems stoked to be there.
He is. He is.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what,
good for him.
You could say whatever you want about, he wears tank tops and yells and takes his shirt off. But what you miss is the prep that he does. Like what I think all of us on the show, because we work our ass off on that show, is how hard he works. As much as he's doing his Monday through Friday show, he shows up on game day and he's not just taking his shirt. Like if you actually listen to what he's saying, clearly he's done his homework. And I think that's why those of us on the set, number one, we love him and his personality, but we really respect that he shows up ready to go, which has been good. But his energy, I think, has been huge for the show.
We talked about this before we got on air, but you go a lot of comics, a lot of guys in my 2018, 19, 20, 21 just kind of were saying whatever we want, a little bit unfiltered versus the more corporate personalities. So it's like Joe Rogan. It's like Pat McAfee kind of comes to ESPN. He's like, well, I'm bringing all these eyeballs. So my kind of, quote, negotiating power is in these people are here to. So, I mean, his show on ESPN is wild.
I know.
I'm like, how is
dropping the F?
Yeah, how is this allowed? But ESPN's like, all right, it seems like if we gotta bring more of these guys in here, or else we're gonna go in.
But I don't know if there's, when you say these guys, like I don't know if there's anyone like Pat.
To Pat's credit,
Like I mean, Pat. Pat's kind of one of one. I feel like when it comes to. You know what I mean? Like that 28-year-old guy and younger. I have 4 sons. I have 2 that are 25, one that's 22, one that's 18. They know everything about Pat. Like they're dialed into Pat.
They're like, Dad, can you get Pat?
They love him. 2 of them intern for him.
Really?
I mean, they're all about him.
He bought a church. Do you know that? Huh? The Thunderdome's a church.
Oh no! I didn't know that.
Have you ever been there?
Yeah. No. I've not been to his new place.
It's a old church.
Oh, okay.
That he converted.
So when he's shooting hoops, that's like the old gym.
That's the
church gym.
Yeah.
So you've been at game day for 30
this
plus
will be
years?
my 30th
30 years.
That's
So I assume there's producers and executives who have been working on that show almost as long as you have, or at least for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So when Pat came in, and obviously I don't think there's ever been someone on game day like Pat who's there every week doing what Pat does.
Right.
Do they kind of like look around like, are we allowing this, or are they kind of just knew what they signed up for?
It's a great question. I'm going to
He looks around like, are we allowing this?
I'm just gonna like, I'm telling you, I think everybody in management at the whole company, when Pat came in, it was like, I started in 1996 and talent, everybody was replaceable. It was just like, always let the talent feel and know they're replaceable. They don't like it, see ya. There's another guy in line that's going to take your job.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I was raised in the company. I was just like, you know, like whatever they're asking me to do, I'm going to do. And then Pat comes in and it's just a very, very, so the way all these middle management guys have learned, all of a sudden Pat comes in and he's like, he's a little bit, you know, doesn't play that game where it's like, you know, it's, we're going to do it this way. And, you know, for example, I probably shouldn't say this, but they were going to, you know, budget is always a big thing in our industry and trying to cut back on certain things. And they made an announcement they were going to cut back on this and cut back on that. And we were on a Zoom and Pat was listening to that. And I was listening to that, like, why are they cutting back on that? It doesn't make any sense. And Pat decided to say, okay, if you're going to cut back on that, I'll cover that. I'll cover that because the crew, the people around the show, they need to have that. They need to have that.
So no one's even heard of something like that.
Yeah.
You were like, what?
So he's like, I'm. If you guys are going to do your budget thing, I'm taking care of the crew. And everyone was like, wow. And middle management was like, and then upper management heard that and they said, whoa. We don't need Pat to cover that. We'll take care of that and take care. So it's like, it's just a whole different set of boundaries, I think.
That you have to learn and adapt as you go.
Yeah.
What about when Theo came on? Do you remember that?
He was awesome. I thought he did a good job.
He was just shooting from
the hip. He was.
He was. That was like one of our guys going over there. We're like, oh yeah, he was. He had some one-liners that were wild. Remember when Theo was that last year?
Yeah,
the year before.
I think it was last year.
It was last year.
It was LSU.
I thought he did a good job.
I thought he was great.
I think the guys that do the best job.
We were like, this guy's
and
wild.
you've done it. You said you did it with the SEC.
I've done basketball a couple times. The
challenge is, and you tell me because you've done it, just from watching people, because like Eric Church will come on and he'll
Carolina
go,
guy.
But he'll go, he's a college football fan. Yeah. He'll go a minute and a half on like, who's going to win LSU Florida? And he'll be like, well, you know, the quarterback's down, you know, you get the backup stepping in, they're going to play too high safety. If the safety comes down, we're just sitting there like, I mean, he's breaking football down. And I think the guys that kind of get it are the guys that, you know, have fun. It's kind of lighthearted.
But those clips were everywhere.
On
the internet. Those Theo clips on Game Day were ever. So you're like, I want to get a clip out of this.
Yeah.
I mean, that was everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. It works.
It did work.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
Is there I was talking to my best friend last night because you were coming in, we were kind of doing some research, and I go, think about the greatest. We had a conversation on the tour bus a while back to go, if you could get any piece of sports memorabilia, what would it be? And we all went around. I'm 41.
What did you pick?
So I picked the base when Sid Bream slid into home with the 1992 with that Francisco Cabrera, either the Francisco Cabrera bat, the Sid Bream batting, or something like that. Yeah. I mean,
Who's your team?
All Atlanta. Braves, Hawks, Falcons. Wow. I went to Sanford, played tennis there, and Georgia Tech.
Are you a good tennis player still?
Yeah. Like golfer.
You still play?
A little bit. I play golf a lot, mostly.
Are you a good golfer?
Yeah. Because golf, you can be the best.
Terrible.
You can be the best you ever been today.
Can
tennis,
you coach
I'll never
me up
be
a
as
little
good.
bit?
Oh yeah, dude, we'll get out there.
Seriously.
Yeah. You live down south.
I play at Richland. I haven't been there since
that's the second flex.
First
you said Troubadour, now Richland.
No.
That's the guy's doing well.
I only go to Troubadours like when there's outings.
That's a great Richland.
I'm a member. I never go.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Because I'm terrible.
There's another. I won't say his names. I don't want to break confidentiality. There's another big time broadcaster at Richland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You don't know? I'll tell you.
I'm never there.
Yeah. Well, my question.
Will you coach me?
I'll coach you up.
Let me tell you this: if I'm 100 and in, I have no chance.
Yeah.
Like the 60 or the 56.
No shot.
I have no, or God forbid if I'm from here, you're the edge of the green. I'm either going over the green or I'm going to chunk it and it's going to go right there.
8-iron bump and run from there. That's the play.
Yeah.
I putt. I'll putt from 80.
Oh, Richland. Well, I can't get on. I ain't been on in Richland, so maybe.
You're Braves.
Yeah.
You claim the Hawks.
Yeah.
Wow.
But those make the championships better when they. I say it all nets out.
Yeah.
So I think
that's how the Reds are.
It'll net out if the Reds won.
Oh, I would go nuts.
Because we were sending highlights back and forth, me and my best friend, and we were like crying about sport. My question to you was, so
memorabilia?
Or what? No, what about sport of this? It's really, some people don't understand that about comedy. They're like, oh, you just I was like, man, people email all the time. I got a cancer diagnosis. Your comedy lifted my spirits, right? Mm-hmm. We were going through we listened to your podcast and it brought us out of, if you think it's just silly jokes, you don't quite understand.
Right,
and
you're right.
I think that about sport.
Music's that way too, sports.
Some of the so I'm a Falcons fan. I flew up to watch the Super Bowl against the Patriots, and I still don't think it's funny.
It was on NFL Network yesterday.
I don't think the 28-3 jokes are funny. I still, Bill Simmons, who I loved as a Boston guy, I don't listen to his stuff anymore because I was so...
You were hurt. You're scarred from it.
And I still am. And I told my buddy last night, we could win 5 Super Bowls and it would still never...
Overcome that.
No.
Wow.
What is it about? What is it about sport?
It's tribal. It's like if you really are into it, this sounds like you are with the Falcons. You invest so much of your energy and so much of your time in it, and you have so much history and tradition. You can think back when you were 6 or 7 or 8. You know what I mean? If you're into it, like some people are fringe fans.
If you're but
if you're into
Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Alabama,
if you're invested, then it's like family. I mean, you care deeply about the results.
And grown men crying.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's one of the only things left on Earth.
I really do.
It's no one knows what's going to happen next.
Well, I think again, go back to when Seinfeld was on, or Friends, or there were so many good sitcoms we all loved. And you had to watch Thursday night to see it. And I think now with DVR and with everything we have online and with the internet, the only thing we watch is live sports. That's the only thing left that we can. You have to watch. If Alabama plays LSU, you're not like, I'll watch it, later. You have to watch it.
You have to watch it.
Same with the Falcons. If they have a huge game, then you got to be dialed in.
This week's episode brought to you by Mosh, baby. Okay, well, the company's called Mosh. I said baby on the back of it it's called Mosh. This week's episode brought to you by Mosh. The older I get, the more I find myself wanting to be more intentional about the way I live, eat, and take care of my body. The old adage, you are what you eat, rings very true to all of us in the modern day. And I'm always looking for a Go protein snack. On the Go protein snack that satisfies me, but now I found one that helps me live intentionally, baby. Mosh bars, get into it. Mosh, if you've not heard about it already on Shark Tank, was founded by Maria Shriver and her son, Patrick Schwarzenegger. I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger last week in New York City I was up there at XM Radio, and he was in there. I didn't say hi to him. I got too nervous. Maria's father suffered from Alzheimer's, and since then she and Patrick have dedicated themselves to find ways to help other families dealing with this debilitating disease. That's unbelievable. Mosh joined forces with the world's top scientists and functional nutritionists to go beyond your average protein bar with 8 delicious flavors, including a plant-based one and peanut butter and chocolate. Each Mosh bar is made with ingredients that support brain health like ashwagandha, lion's mane, collagen, and omega-3. I don't have any of them at my house right now because Lydia took them all. Ate them all. I need a new box, dude.
Yep.
Mosh, listen, send us a new box. Replenish us. Actually, I could probably do it myself. Here's the best part. It makes you feel good. Mosh donates a portion of all proceeds for your order to fund gender-based brain health research through the Women's Alzheimer Movement. Unbelievable. If you want to find ways to give back to others and fuel your body and your brain, that's what I need, baby. Mosh bars are the perfect choice. Head to, listen to this, moshlife.com/netpositive to save 20% off plus free shipping on all the bestsellers, trial pack. That's 20% off plus free shipping on the Best Sellers trial pack at moshlife.com/net positive. Thanks, Mosh, for sponsoring the show. This week's episode brought to you by Helix with one E. Helix mattress, baby. Get on board. I got one in my guest room. Many a guest. Listen, my house is right by the comedy club. A lot of comics that they're coming in for a night, they go, John, can we stay at your house? Can we stay at your house? Can we stay at your house? I go, yeah, the guest room's open. Sponsored by Helix. It doesn't say it's officially sponsored by Helix, but people have been coming into my guest room since I got this mattress and have loved it. Everybody says it's awesome. I go, hey, dude, tell me about the mattress when you sleep on it. And
so do you tell them to tell you the opinion before or after they sleep on it?
What should I do?
I would say wait till after.
Wait till after.
I would say see if they mention anything. Like, wait till they mention anything immediately after, and if they don't, be like, yo, how was the mattress?
No, actually, just, hey, how you feeling today? They're like, I feel great. Yeah, what is it?
Make them guess.
I go, hey, I know what it is.
Yeah.
I know what it is. I slept great. Was it the air conditioning? Was the windows open? Was it the sound? Nah, it wasn't. It was that mattress, baby. The Helix mattress, the experience I had when getting one, if you're in the market for a new mattress, here's what you don't want to do. Go to the store. Bring some twine. Strap it to the top of borrow your friend's truck. You're not doing any of that. Get on Helix website and they'll ask, there's like 8 or 10 questions that they ask you about your body, how you sleep, what your patterns are, and then they choose one for you and they send it to you. Unbelievable. Helix mattress, one of the best in the business. No, the best in the business. Go to helixsleep.com/net positive for 20% off site wide. Wait, that's unbelievable. Actually, that's helixsleep.com, HELIX sleep.com/net positive. 20% off a mattress? That's unbelievable. That's an unbelievable deal. HELIXsleep.com/net positive. Get into it. And I could not believe what I was seeing at that Falcon. I mean, I'm making a bigger deal of it.
No.
I could not.
It was almost
and
like
I knew exactly.
Flashbacks.
I mean, there's nothing else that
because it
exists
just
like
happened to be on yesterday on the NFL. So
Yeah.
I didn't remember, that Hightower had a huge sack when they were down 16 and got the ball back. And I mean, everything that had to happen.
Julio Jones just was on a podcast last week, and he was talking about how he only got 5 targets in that game. Still upset. And I played golf with my cousin last week. He's an Indians fan, and I was wearing a Braves hat. He goes, hey, still little. We're talking about 95. When we beat them in 95.
Yeah.
Still. That's 30 years later. He goes, let's not talk about it. What you love, that's what's great.
That's what's
gosh,
great.
It's great.
It's punishment.
Yeah.
But like you said, the reward for going through the punishment, the reward. But I just think we're just so invested.
And you want to give up on them.
Yeah.
I think when your team does.
Oh my gosh.
When the Falcons drafted Michael Penix and then signed Kirk Cousins, I mean, everybody in the media was like, what? And you want to go, I want to start over and pick a new one, but you can. It's not going to mean anything.
I liked the pick personally, only because I did 5 games of Michael Penix.
Yeah, I like him too.
So I thought this makes some sense because of the age of Kirk Cousins. Even though they put a lot of money into him, I think they got to the 8th pick, and I think they just thought, holy cow, Penix is still on the board.
Yeah.
Like we thought he'd be gone. This is quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
If you get a franchise guy, there's not many of them out there.
Yeah.
Even if you just sign Cousins and you think Michael Penix can be that guy, and everybody in the room, he can be that guy, how do you pass on him?
Yeah. How do you? Yeah.
So I mean, even though everybody ripped it,
and it seems like it's going to work out, but that's how. I mean, we could the Braves. I don't want to go out of my teams.
The Braves. How many NLCSs did they go to?
We have 2. I have in my lifetime.
Did they win in your
2.
life?
We got 2, 2021 and 1995. But that's like only 2. How many finished the season in a win? How many do you have in your lifetime? Talking about, I have 2: the Atlanta Braves, Atlanta Falcons, 95 and 2021.
Oh wow!
You have 3 Ohio State championships.
I'm a Reds fan too, so
none?
75, 76,
Oh, yeah.
90. They went
The
wild.
Reds won in 90?
Yeah,
All
Reds
right.
won it in 90. And that's why the Reds fans are so spoiled. They're just used to always either winning
As long as
it
I've been around, the Reds have not been good.
and in the last 12 years, they've been
Terrible.
Very disappointing.
Yeah. They got De La Cruz.
They have a decent team right now. They just not consistent. I'm a Bengals fan. Grew up a Bengals fan. They've been to the Super Bowl twice. Didn't win either one of them. Ohio State, obviously, their previous last championship was 1968, and then they won one in 2002. Yeah. And then Urban Meyer and Ryan Dave won one. So, they're obviously.
Do you think the days of I feel like a lot of, obviously we've talked about Pat, and he's from Indiana. He obviously was all behind the page. Do you think the days of, I think with social media, everybody kind of knows who everybody's for. Like, we know your teams. Yeah. And we know Bill Simmons' teams. We know everybody's. I feel like a lot of times people, the days of objective, does that make sense? We don't know. This guy's just in here, and now everybody's.
I totally disagree with that.
You do?
Yeah. Now, if you're a personality like a Bill Simmons or a Pat McAfee, or like a Stephen A. Smith, that part of their shtick is kind of that. Yeah. I think they're very, like, even on game day, Pat, West Virginia, like he's always talking. Like, I never do that about Ohio State, ever. And that's why a lot of Ohio State fans probably don't care for me, because I treat Ohio State like not? Every other team. And I don't think it's if you're calling games, might be different if you're in a studio. If you're calling games, and let's say you're an Alabama fan and I'm calling an Ohio State Alabama game, how the hell can you take what I say seriously? If I'm sitting up there saying, we almost caught, like, I would never do that. Well, to me,
if you're calling a game nationally, if you're the local guy, then you can be
a local guy that's doing like the Tennessee Titans game. He should be yelling, "Hey,
we are the best."
The college football
down
announcers.
by 30. We're gonna come back.
We still got
the
this.
ESPN Plus guys, dude, or like the whatever they were.
Because those are the local guys.
Yeah, those guys are the most biased.
They're like cheering in the booth. But I don't think you can cheer when you do games. It's like on a national level. But you're right. Guys that are in a studio show nationally, you watch Sports Center and, Elle Duncan is sitting there cheering for Georgia.
She's Georgia,
openly cheering. So I'm not a fan of that personally, but
I guess I think
I think it hurts your credibility when that team is playing other teams. Fans are looking at you like,
I guess
Pat's different, I think.
SVP, we know that he's Maryland. Yeah. That's about it. We don't, other than that.
Yeah.
And Maryland is never. No, not that's a knock. They're never on. They're not. That's not the Sports Center.
What are his teams? Orioles, I think.
Are they? I don't. Yeah. See, I kind of know. But I knew Elle Duncan was Atlanta, but I don't. Yeah.
Are you a Georgia fan? Or
hate Georgia, man. We talk about that on this podcast all the time.
Why?
I just hate them, dude.
So in that area where you grew up, you either love them or hate them?
Hate them. Yeah. So I grew up. My dad we used to go to. 3 of my brothers went to Georgia Tech.
Okay.
My dad was kind of like the chaplain. Of Georgia Tech, and we would go down there to those games.
Oh, you had to hate Georgia.
So we just hated the Bulldogs, and now I like Kirby Smart. We did a event together a couple weeks ago, and we said hi to each other. But I hate the Bulldogs, dude. I hate them. It's funny we're talking about this because everybody knows that I cannot stand.
Do you like Bulldogs. Georgia Tech?
Love them.
Okay.
Yeah, love them.
That's your squad?
Yeah.
They're coming up, man.
They
really are.
Hey, you heard it here first.
They are.
You heard it here first.
I think they got a shot this year. Haynes King is a badass.
Oh, he's a good coach, dude. Yeah.
You got a real, I think you got a real chance.
Back in the Joe Hamilton days.
Oh,
remember
my
that?
gosh.
Oh, yeah. Man, we went to Georgia, and I was in high school. We beat Georgia 51-48. And I wore a shirt the next day to school. It said 51-48, and this Georgia fan beat me up.
No.
Because I was a little punk little kid. No one knew.
What grade
was
that?
8th grade, dude. 9th grade. Yeah.
What did he do? Just smack you? Or?
Yeah. He just because he was a huge Georgia fan, and I was a punk little kid, dude. Yeah. No.
Were you a smart aleck as a young kid?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Big time.
I was never trying to attract attention, but I would never yell in his face. We won 51-48.
You just wear the shirt on.
But dude, that feeling right there, there's nothing like that.
Nothing
that feeling, because my sister goes to Georgia. I didn't go to Alabama, my wife did, but my sister goes to Georgia. Yeah. And when Alabama beat Georgia last year, I was on another planet, dude.
Yeah,
that
was a great game.
It was a great game.
Man, were you there, or did you just watch it?
No, we watched it. We watched it here. But we watched it in it was a bar with like a huge screen. There was there was probably 100, 200 people there, but it was pretty split 50-50. And it was
crazy.
Chris and I called that game, and at one moment it just looked like, man, Bama's going to kill them first half. And then Georgia came storming back. Looked like they were going to win it. And then Ryan Williams makes that spin move and that play.
Remember that?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I guess I think it's to your point. If you don't get it, you don't get it. But if you do, I think that's what comes out in your reporting, and same why people love Pat. Is there like we all admit we're a little over leveraged here. Mm-hmm. Like you go into a wedding and you're watching a game. Like we should we shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. But we're so. It stirs up. It's all the way back to like tribalism.
Passion. Yeah, it's passion.
And you go, God, I can't stand.
So of your teams, and you're in a wedding, which of your teams gives you the most? You're at a dinner, the game's on your phone. Which of your teams?
The Braves, the Atlanta Braves.
Baseball, regular season baseball game.
I'm not a regular season game, but if I was going to win, now the Falcons would mean
Falcons
more because
playoff
I've been
game, Braves playoff game.
Oh, Falcons playoff game would mean more.
That would be
baseball is nothing better than playoff baseball.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's
weather changes.
Yeah, but every night, me and my girlfriend were watching sport in some kind of consuming it in some kind of way. I wanted to ask you about. So you have I'm not going to ask you about the NIL and the transfer portal because that's been mostly a lot covered, but I don't know if this question is going to make sense. So the Savannah Bananas are unbelievable, right? Everybody, they're selling out football stadiums. We get the Nashville Sounds here, can't sell 500 tickets. And then you see the rise of, I believe what's coming back is wrestling, where WrestleMania. So you go.
I went to WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's been unbelievable.
Oh my God.
So you go.
I was blown away.
Here's my question. So I'm a huge NASCAR fan. I go to probably 6-8 races a year. And
holy cow.
Yeah.
I've never been
Love
to
NASCAR. You never been?
Never.
Oh, it's unbelievable. You take me to Richland, I'll take you to Talladega.
Wow.
You thought SEC football was crazy. These people might be just as crazy.
Oh, they will. All right. So my question is this. So NASCAR, I believe, is having a resurgence, but since Dale Earnhardt, it's struggled to find its way.
Yeah.
I go, and these 200, 300,000 people at these races every Sunday. I mean, at the big ones, not all of them, at the big ones. And I was kind of whispering to a guy, we're like, there's this. They're struggling with storylines, celebrity. There's not a lot of, it never comes over to Sports Center.
Yeah,
you'll get Talladega, Daytona.
Yeah,
and I go, kind of joking but kind of serious. Like if we introduced like a heel here, like a guy, because Savannah Bananas and WWE is fake. Okay, this is Alabama versus Georgia is real, but with the transfer portal and NIL, there's a little bit of a. Like when the A's played the Yankees, no salary cap. You're like, all right, this isn't really.
It's not fair. Although the Rays have figured it out.
Yes,
it's wild.
So you go, all right. If you're the Nashville Sounds, what if we made a storyline here? But the line between real and fake used to be, and now it's like what makes sport great is like we watched Caitlin Clark. We were in Indy, and she played against Brittany Griner. This is last year, and there was so much like, it was more than sport. It was like, does that make sense? When you watch wrestling, you're like, this guy has to build. It's fake.
Yeah,
but it is also very entertaining.
Yeah.
Does my question make sense? Like we have to keep Georgia versus Alabama on an equal playing
field. And you're
field.
wondering if the portal and the NIL and all
and
the
making
changes.
If it would be good for NASCAR if we introduced a villain,
right?
But we obviously couldn't do that because does that make sense?
I do think a villain is great for sports.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, it makes people dial in. I mean, they are really excited to either cheer or boo or whatever
What's
it is.
What's his name from Tennessee, the quarterback?
Yeah, Nico became that.
Oh, yeah.
He became that.
And listen, everybody's going to be following that story this fall.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to go, yup, embarrassing,
exactly.
or good for him.
Yeah, yeah. Or Well, it's in the Big Ten, so no wonder he's doing well.
Probably that. I didn't see that side. Oh, he's not playing the SEC.
Yeah. That's coming.
But that's what makes people. I think what Caitlin Clark or
what makes the Savannah Bananas.
I don't know.
Is that like the Harlem Globetrotters kind of?
It's for like
trick shots.
Don't come at me. I think it's like for kids. Like they do like dancing stuff, and kids are like, oh. The hat, I mean, it's can't
but it's sold out.
Like, have you ever seen? Obviously, I've seen it on Twitter. I mean, you've seen some clips of it. I've never. I think it says a lot about society that a Braves Astros game doesn't create any buzz. Now they're playing 162 games, but it doesn't create a lot of buzz. But the Savannah Bananas go to Death Valley at Clemson, and it's sold out.
Yeah. They sold out Nissan Stadium. I think the only people selling at Nissan Stadium are Morgan Wallen and Taylor Swift. I don't think
it's crazy, dude.
If the Titans made a playoff game, a deep playoff game, I don't know if that stadium would be sold out.
Come on,
in the playoffs.
Come on, dude. We got to. By the way, we got to get the Titans going.
No, we got.
I mean, enough's enough.
We don't know.
Enough's enough. Like we
you heard it here first.
You know what I mean? I'm hoping
we're gonna clip this and tag the Titans.
Are you guys Titans fans?
Yeah. Well,
kind
I
of
follow the Titans.
Yeah, it's kind of. That's kind of how.
Now, Titans Super Bowl wouldn't mean as much to me, but I would be proud of.
But when you live in the town and you kind of follow it, you kind of get excited about what they're doing, and you hope Cam Ward will help them. By the way, new stadium coming in at 27. You know,
we got Nashville's got it going on.
Yeah. It's rolling. This town is rolling.
Do you think what it takes? Speaking of the Savannah Bananas, you gonna go see at noon? You're gonna see the Titans versus the like what it takes to get people to pull out their credit card, put it in to go to a live sporting event. I just think people are gonna pick and choose what they go to.
They are.
Versus, we just go to the games. I don't think that's it.
But I think in certain markets, like the St. Louis Cardinals, it's just the Cardinals are playing, so we're in. But I think with the Titans, because I went to so many games when we first moved here, and it was just, so here I never knew anything about Nashville. I moved to town. I go to a Preds game. I'm like, this place is insane, right? Then I go to a Titans game. I'm like, is this the same city? Like it was like
what era was this? What year was this?
This was like for 7, 8 years, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
Johnson,
pretty much before Vrabel took over. Once Vrabel took over, I think they got a little bit of excitement about him. But before that, it was just, it's like, I don't know how people went to the games. They were not a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it was the Packers fans that were there. Or the Raiders fans visiting
they
Nashville.
love to come to Nashville.
Yeah, they're here to party.
Like the Vanderbilt of the NFL.
Oh yeah, we'll walk across the bridge.
They're here to party and go to a game. But I think with a new stadium coming in, I think this franchise will get it going. But you're right. It's like, do I really want to go? Not just this town, but anywhere. I think people are staying at home a lot of times.
Especially when the TV products have gotten so good that it's almost like, I don't know if there's a comparable live event experience that's as good as TV when you have the best play-by-play announcers. You're sitting on a couch.
It's high def. I mean, you can so many different cameras.
You got friends over.
But I'm telling you, and a guy that does the games, I still think there's something about being there in person, digesting it and experiencing it and feeling it. Like if he were on a TV and he were in person, I would want to see him and I would want to experience watching you in person. It'd be great on TV, but if you get a chance to go, maybe I'm from a different generation, but I still think seeing things in person gives you.
We tried to decide. We went to the Braves were up. We tried to decide if we were going to go to the when the Braves are playing the Houston. They're playing the Astros. And Jorge Soler hit this. Everybody in Houston was going nuts. My best friend was there. I wasn't there. Jorge Soler hits a 3-run, just bomb, and shuts that whole place down. And as a Braves, I mean, I was texting my buddy last night. I go, I cannot believe you were there.
Yeah,
you were there for that.
Yeah, that's different.
That's different. And then you go, gosh, and especially if you could bring your son, or if you're like, I would always. Yeah, I guess. Did all your kids take your teams?
Yeah, for the most part.
They do.
For the most part. Most of my sons are diehard Titans fans because they grew up here.
Yeah, they always,
and all their buddies. I mean, they're probably as passionate about the Titans as they are.
You try to say, hey, let's switch to this Bengals game. They go, no.
Exactly.
They're probably playing each other at noon anyway. So
yeah. Bengals. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, though. I mean, they create some buzz for the kids.
Yeah, the Bengals
people like them.
I think the most we get very energetic about the World Cup and the Olympics sometimes. And you're like, this swimming, it does not matter.
Yeah.
Or we're so invested in our country, us versus Russia versus, and you're like, it's so,
I'm into that.
Into it.
Yeah.
I'm very into
I'm
it.
watching downhill skiing. I'm watching swimming. I'm just like, let's go.
Is there the Olympics does a good job of this. They kind of, I think they already know who we're watching it in prime time and it's happening. So they kind of set up the story.
Yeah.
When Michael Phelps is, they go,
exactly.
well, and they do that for everybody, every gymnast. Yep. Is there something to a football game when you got, the game starting in 20 minutes for you to set up, or is it with production to go, if you just tuning into this, you never heard it before, why does it mean so much, Oregon, Washington? You have to tell us why this is so important.
Yeah, and I think, again, you have people that are diehards that know everything about their team, and you have people that are kind of fringe fans, but we meet all week talking about this is an idea, and all of a sudden a story breaks on Wednesday, and all of a sudden you got to tweak it. So it's
talking about angles for the interest of the game.
Yeah. And I think your tease at the beginning and your open at the beginning really kind of sets the stage for why that person at home who has so many options on their phone, tablet, TV, you have one opportunity to try to grab them to be like, oh, geez,
that's a good way to say
I'm
that.
I'm going to sit down. I want to see what's going on here. Yeah. So we take that part incredibly serious. In fact, we're already talking about a company that we're going to hire for our Saturday night game to try to even take us to another level on the tees, and just really trying to bring the excitement because in the old days there was 3 games on a Saturday. And now
this is the game you're watching.
There's thousands. There's games everywhere on every channel. Yeah. So you always are looking for something to differentiate yourself from, all the other broadcasts out there. And I love both the Al Michaels game on Thursday and the game I do with Fowler on Saturday. So spoiled to have the technology and the cameras, and we have everything you could ask for.
And so you could probably look. When's the last time that they had 14 first downs in a quarter? That information is now available to you from somebody.
Oh yeah.
Versus you wouldn't.
These next
this is the first time someone has ever thrown 97 yards for a touchback.
Yeah, they have.
They didn't know that.
Chris has a kind of a iPad that's firing all kinds of information.
I always wondered how that worked.
At him, and it's up to him because sometimes there'll be somebody in your ear that if it's really significant, they'll bring attention to it. Because when you're doing a game, things are just flying so fast, and it's hard to take time to look down at a tablet and unless you're at a break.
So he's not prompting a guy. The guy is
proactively
and sending it. Hey, just for the record, this is the first time.
Ryan Williams just set a Alabama school record. Whatever.
And he can choose to acknowledge that or not.
Well, if it's something big like that, then the truck is communicating to us upstairs, like, "Hey guys, we got a graphic. Ryan Williams just set a new Alabama school record." And they'll come back out of the break, and we'll make sure it's known. But there are people in our stats division that are monitoring every aspect.
That's why you can't live. You're not getting any of that,
right?
Yeah, and you go, what's the status? The big one is injury. Yeah, what's the status with the injury? You guys know. Everything.
Yeah, we try to.
But that which makes the viewing so much better.
Yeah, and I think I saw something recently that they put the top 100 most viewed broadcasts, whether it's the Oscars or whatever it was, and I think 80%
or more.
Were NFL
Sports.
and college football.
Really? Football.
Yeah.
Gotta be. Because you go. We were watching of regular season. This is at the end of this basketball season, the Lakers versus the Mavericks. And my girlfriend was like, why? I was like, okay, so this trade, which was never, you have to explain so many things to be like, I can't. So Luka is about to walk, and that's the owner, and he's here, and LeBron.
It's a lot of drama.
And LeBron's about to be done, so this is kind of the next generation. And AD was his former teammate, and you're like...
Yeah. It's like a perfect storm.
Yeah, and if you knew that, you would try to explain to everyone else. If you were sitting at the airport bar, you'd be like, no, this is... you got to see this. Yeah. Or Ryan Blaney has never won at Talladega or whatever. You're like, and he's competing. No, because 23XI has more money, and he switched from Penske, and then you go, if you know this, but that's like European soccer, we don't know... So like Fulham is playing Tottenham or whatever, and you're like, I don't
have anything there.
Yeah. So if you do, which is
like you were just reading off or saying the NASCAR stuff.
You don't know any of that.
I don't know any of that.
Rory at the Masters.
Do you
Rory at the Masters? That's another good one.
The NASCAR stuff.
No, not really.
Do you call them names or do you call them their numbers?
Depends on if
John knows
if
because I always feel like they say the 16 or the 43.
Car, Well, like the 3 car is now run by Austin Dillon, but that's the 3 car is Dale Earnhardt.
Right.
So
so that continues. The 3 continues.
The 3 continues. Who's going to be in the 3 next year?
Is that a big deal for people?
Yeah.
I think
not as big of a deal for me.
The number is kind of considered like the team, right? Like it would be like calling him 23 would be kind of like citing there like, oh, that's Alabama. This is the player who's the driver, right?
Because it's easier to talk about. I don't want to say I don't like a person because you can say you don't like Alabama.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I don't like a because we'll probably see him. We'll probably meet him. I'm not going to say I don't like a driver. I'm going to say I don't like the 11.
Yeah. who is your
easier to tolerate?
Who is your number? Who's your number?
I've been a Brad Keselowski fan.
What number?
6.
What number?
6.
6. I'll look for him.
Oh yeah, look for him up front.
I watched the Indy 500.
There you go.
And just because it's
unbelievable.
It's
been up there. We went to the Indy 500 this year. 350,000 people there.
Oh my gosh!
And there was a guy that.
How do you watch?
Oh, it's nuts. I mean, you follow it.
I don't think the TV does it justice. How far
they don't.
How fast those cars are flying by. Right?
How loud it is too.
Scott McLaughlin.
They're loud.
Oh, I think NASCAR.
Are they louder than NASCAR?
NASCAR. I've been to both. I think NASCAR might be. NASCAR's like violently louder. Like NASCAR like shakes the earth. I think the Indy cars are kind of like a higher pitch and just kind of zip by.
See, he's doing it right now. Let's go.
Those NASCARs when they come by, you if you don't have earplugs, you're like,
wow,
it's wild. Yeah.
Do you guys sit down close? Where's the best seat to watch?
John's probably standing right next to him.
Turn 4. In
John helps change the tires.
Where's the best?
I'm on the pit box.
If you're watching, where's the best seat?
You got to be. If you go with one of the drivers, if you told your agent, I want to go, one of the drivers would be like, come. And you get to sit on top of his pit box. Yeah, so he pulls right in and.
Can you see anything?
Oh yeah.
I mean, besides him coming into the pit, can you see? I mean,
depends on how big the track is. Yeah. So if you go to Bristol, I've
been to Bristol.
Coliseum. You can see the whole thing. The Braves are playing the Reds there. Me versus you, baby.
No way.
Yeah, in August.
Okay.
Yeah, Braves are playing
I called a Virginia Tech Tennessee game there.
At Bristol. Yeah. It's huge. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's
so you can see that whole thing.
Okay.
In Talladega, the track Daytona, the track's 2.5 miles. So you're gonna see. You need to watch on a TV, and then see him come by every once in a while.
I got you.
Yeah.
One of these days, Doc Punch used to tell me I gotta go see it in person. Yeah.
All right. My last question would be. So I have been in. Me and my buddies talk about comedy in a lot of ways that are like, we've given our lives to it. Mm-hmm. We've given. I've been doing it 15 years. Started around 25 and 41. I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life, and I believe in it. A, for maybe the truth that it could communicate about society, and B, for the enjoyment and the
entertainment.
I don't. It's a joke, but it's everybody that knows or listens to this podcast. I take it very, very seriously. I work very, very hard. Mm-hmm. I believe. I was talking to my girlfriend last night that I believe God put me on this planet for this job, and I. It seems like, you're just telling like, fart jokes or whatever. It's like, if you think that about it, you don't understand what's going on here. Mm-hmm. And I feel a lot of comparison with sport, that you have given your life to it. Skip Carey, who announced that Braves game in 1992, is now passed away. We looked up the clip, heard him, the elation in his voice announcing that game. I go, man, I miss that guy's voice. Is there a level of appreciation or sincerity that you take that you go, I've given my life to something as silly as a guy throwing a pigskin to a guy, catching a guy? It means nothing, but at the same time, it means everything. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense, because that's how I feel about sports, and especially the sports that I cover. A day doesn't go by that I don't feel the weight of my responsibility of loving this game and trying to convey that to the people who watch it. And I'm not just checking a box, doing my job, like, okay, there's another game, whatever. I'm so invested in what I do and the job that I get to do, and talking about college and pro football. So I feel that. Yeah, and I think in the same way, what you do when you say you've given your life to this, I've completely given my life to this, to football. But football's given me so much back, you know? And so that's my entire existence. I mean, besides my family, this is my entire existence. And I'm take it very seriously. I love it. I don't love I didn't get into this for recognition or fame. And I think with these, I'm not comfortable with the being in the public eye. Sure. I'm not comfortable with, people and the way they want to attack you, because I didn't really get into it.
That's not what you got into it for.
No, I get into it because I like it. I love what I do, and I love how people love the sport, and it just, so I completely relate to that. But I struggle, man. I struggle with the negativity that is associated with being in the public eye in 2025. I'm just not a fan of that, and I pray about it honestly all the time. And because I need to learn. I was just talking to a guy this morning about this. I need to learn how to forgive people who do things that the human side of me wants to be combative and kind of attack back. Yeah. And I need to kind of like give grace to people who don't necessarily maybe deserve that. And that's like on my journey, that's kind of an area that I'm trying to work on. But I think the good clearly outweighs the negative.
And you can tell, I think you can tell in the product. You go, this guy.
Oh, I love it.
We were down at Zany's, a comedy club right here, which we go to 3-4 nights a week. And because we do the big shows on the road, we practice them on. It's practice. We go, let me do 10 minutes before the headliner and just work these.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I did the Tonight Show. I probably ran my Tonight Show set probably 50 times.
Wow.
Or more. Every single word of it. And we listened to it, record it on my phone, listen to it, redo it, adjust it, move this punchline around. And so
we're quick on that.
Yeah, go.
So when you do that, you practice something so hard. See, what I'm doing, I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm just kind of reacting to what I would really struggle with. That's almost, it's almost performing like an actor would perform.
Yeah. And I'm not used to that.
That's a very different skill set.
That's for television. I'm not used to doing it that rigidly.
Yeah.
I usually say,
did you, when you got on the Tonight Show after all that preparation, did you have more butterflies because of trying to remember what you wanted to do, as opposed to normal night, you go up at Zany's and you're just going to entertain? Like, that's a lot. I think I knew
the size of the spotlight, and I knew it's like you run these plays a million times, but now you're in the national championship.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah. Did it feel different though?
Once I got the first big laugh, then you kind of like once you get a first down, you're like, oh, we know how to play. We know how to play football. But you come out there and you're terrified. Yeah,
that's amazing that you did that many walkthroughs.
Oh yeah, everywhere. But
good for you, man.
I was sick because we were down at Zany's and we were after the show. Nate Bargatze's down there.
Yeah,
we're all down there.
Yeah,
and there's this girl. There's a girl in the green room. She had done the open mic night too, and she kind of whispers to one of us. She goes, "How long do I have to stay here until they note or they kind of promote me?" I thought in my head, "Oh, you're doomed." After comedy, we love to do it. We love to prep it. We love to talk about it. You like to talk about after the game.
Yeah.
You like to talk about what this means. If you're you're
living.
When can I when do I clock out?
Oh yeah, you're
done. Yeah, I say, your passion about the sport comes through my passion about stand up.
Yeah.
If you're like, are we? I don't gather that from you or Pat or Lee or anybody that you go, no,
this is it.
We're not, there's nowhere else to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to bed with it. Yeah. We're waking up with it.
And we're stoked to see what comes of it tomorrow. Yeah. And then there's no like, oh, when can we?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was down at the Grand Ole Opry, who's they country music for hundreds of years, and they honored. They have a lot of those old country artists that are still coming through there, and there's the circle at the Grand Ole Opry, and I said,
yeah, that's cool.
And I said, this place does a great job of. I said I would like to age in this community. A lot of respect for the elders. A lot of this guy. You know what I'm saying? This everybody they treat. There's a Hall of Fame. There's a plaque. There's a here's how Pam Tillis. All these old country singers that are legends that are still welcomed there, and a comedy does a great job of that, and I think you did a great job of that with Lee.
I tried to.
You go, man, this guy. We all kind of watched it in real time.
Yeah,
and you go, he's not the Lee he was, but it means so much, and to see you kind of like, and the whole really everybody at ESPN to be respectful of his journey and to include him. I go, man, that is. I think everybody that has a grandparent or is like thought that was. First
of all, I was raised to respect my mentors and my coaches and my it's just the way I came up. And so when I first started on the show, I was calling him Coach. No, I replaced a guy named Craig James. It was Chris Fowler, Lee Corso, and me when I first started. And I replaced a guy named Craig James, who they had a very combative, you're a crazy old man kind of relationship. And then I came in 1996 because they were super successful, and I was more respectful and more talking to him like Coach. And a producer pulled me aside and said, "You're never going to make it. You got to go at him because he
at Lee,
go at him the way the other guy was."
Yep.
And I was like, "Why do you hire me? Like that's not me. I'm not going to be phony and like start yelling at Lee. I'm just not going to do that." And so what happened was, I don't know if you can relate to this. There was the relationship on camera, and then we would go to a photo shoot or a commercial out in LA and be in the back of a car going to the shoot. And I didn't know him that well early. And I started talking to him about, getting married. And then a year or two later, having kids. And my kids were premature by about 12 weeks. And they were born 2 pounds. And I was talking to him about going through that as a young dad. And he listened and he gave great information. It was like you were talking to Don Corleone, or it's like petting his cat. He's like listening, you're pouring your heart out to him. And what I found was over the time, he almost became like a second father to me, and all these moments away from the camera, and he just became a dear friend. And then he had a stroke, and then the relationship kind of reversed where he needed me a little bit, and we never talked about it, but I just being a friend to him, and that's kind of what I think people saw on camera was just me, just trying to maybe a soft touch. Maybe, interrupting him where he's struggling because his cognitive thinking was sharp. Yeah. It was just anybody who's dealt with a stroke knows sometimes you can't get your words out, right? And that was his deal. And so that became our relationship. But off the camera was where we really created that bond, and then it just kind of carried over, I think, on camera. But I love him. He's I think at peace. He's going to retire. He's got one more show coming up the first week. We do Ohio State, Texas.
Really?
And
week
it's a
one?
huge celebration.
Man.
Yeah, it'll be a wild scene, very emotional, I think, for everybody, not just us, but I think people have loved what he's represented. The younger audience doesn't really remember maybe who he was. He was the Pat McAfee of his time. He was very polarizing, very entertaining, and he would say things no one else would dare say. And obviously he hasn't been that guy.
The whole time he did.
Yeah. So he's kind of that lovable character, and we all want to take care of him. Yeah.
That's going to be unbelievable to watch.
Yeah.
That's week one?
Week 1, August 30th.
And everybody, where are you going to be this fall? Are you going to be on game day?
I'm going to do Amazon on Thursday night, And then I'm going to do game day on Saturday. And
Let's
then
go, dude.
I'm going to call the game Saturday night. And then all the playoff games.
You do only one game a day on Saturday?
One game on Saturday
can't
night.
do two.
No.
Nobody does.
No. Doing game day in the game.
Oh, not to game day, but there's guys that do two.
No.
They don't. Nobody does 2 games.
I don't think anyone has
Not
done.
Not well. They can't do it well.
No one does 2 in one day.
Yeah. Well, it's an honor to have you in here.
Yeah, man.
Theo Vaughn told me, he goes, we talk about the podcast, and he goes, you need to get guests that you want to talk to. He goes, if this guy's super uber famous and you don't, people are going to know that you're not invested in that conversation.
That's great advice.
He's like,
really
go after the people that you want to talk to. And I think with Lee or with Pat McAfee, all these guys, you watch it, and why we've been able to be successful is consumers watch it and they go, I buy that.
Yeah.
I buy.
Yeah. It's real.
We didn't get into the dogs and all that stuff. But you go, I buy what this guy, what he is. Whether, and it's to be different people. There's people at comics that you go, I believe that.
For sure.
You know, and I think that comes through, and that comes through in your work.
I think being authentic, I think just being real, I think people can feel that and understand that. And the way you and I are talking right now is how you do your comedy. It's how I do my, sports broadcasting. It's just, it's fun to talk to people that have that like-minded approach.
Absolutely, brother. We'll be cheering you. I'll find you. Watch out for the comedians.
Hey,
they're gonna come through on game day.
We want them.
Watch out for when
we're
the
gonna have
comedians
you
come
on game
through,
day
dude.
this year.
I watched.
Yes,
I got in some. No,
we're gonna have you.
I lobbed a couple in when I was over. I did the Florida. I did the game day down in Florida for basketball. And I lobbed a couple Georgia jokes in there, and they were like, this is wild. When the comedians come in, I feel like all the people on the desk are go, all right,
it's
buckle in. Kirk, good to see you, bro.
Yeah, you too, bud.
I mean, yeah, sure, it was a little weird, but on the net, it was a positive. It was a positive. You cannot be serious. On the net, it's a positive.